You heard me. ID now. Let's go.
I'm not required to hand it over unless I've committed a crime, officer.
You want to push it? Because we can make this real simple. Wallet out.
I'm a federal agent. Make your case or step back.
Agent or not, you're on my bus right now, and I'm giving you a lawful order.
Then quote the statute. Otherwise, we're done talking.
Last chance.
This man made one decision on a Tuesday morning that would cost him his career, his freedom, and a city $500,000. He thought his badge made him untouchable. He was wrong. Before we continue, let me take this opportunity to thank you so much for supporting our channel. Just choosing to watch our video means a lot to us. Before we go any further, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your first time here. It was Route 47, the northbound city bus, just after 8 a.m. Marcus Webb sat 3 rows from the back, briefcase between his feet, earbuds in. He'd taken this same bus twice a week for the past year. Same route, same stops, nothing unusual. Until Officer Garrett stepped on. Garrett was 35, 6'2", barrel-chested in his patrol uniform. His eyes scanned the bus like he was looking for something, or someone. The bus was nearly full. White passengers filled most of the seats. A few stood near the front, holding the overhead rails. Garrett's boots thudded down the aisle. He stopped directly in front of Marcus. "Let me see your ID." Marcus pulled out one earbud, looked up. "Excuse me?" "Your ID, now." Marcus glanced around. No one else was being asked. Not the man in the suit 2 rows up, not the teenager with the backpack, not the elderly woman near the window, just him. "Why do you need my ID?" Marcus asked, his voice calm but firm. Garrett's jaw tightened. "Because I'm asking. You got a problem with that?" "I'm sitting on a public bus. I paid my fare. You need probable cause to demand identification." A few passengers turned their heads. Garrett's face flushed. "You think you know the law better than me?" "I know my rights." Garrett leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a growl. "Let me make this simple. You're in the wrong part of town. There are other buses down the street you should have picked. This one, not for you." Marcus stared at him. "Not for me?" "That's right. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to stand up, give me your ID, and find another seat, or you're getting off this bus in cuffs." Marcus didn't move. His heart was pounding, but his voice stayed level. "I'm not giving up my seat, and I'm not showing you ID without cause." Garrett straightened up, his hand moving to his belt. "You're refusing a lawful order from a police officer. There's nothing lawful about what you're doing." The bus went silent. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror, but said nothing. A woman near the front pulled out her phone, but quickly put it away when Garrett glared at her. "Last chance," Garrett said. "Stand up, or I'm charging you with obstruction." Marcus's hands stayed on his knees. "I'm not moving." Garrett grabbed his radio. "This is Officer Garrett, badge 4157. I need backup on Route 47. I've got an uncooperative suspect refusing lawful commands." "Suspect?" Marcus's voice rose for the first time. "I'm sitting on a bus. You're creating a disturbance. The only disturbance here is you." Garrett's eyes went cold. He reached for his cuffs. "You don't belong here, and you just made the biggest mistake of your life." Marcus leaned back in his seat, arms crossed. His voice was sharp, controlled. "We'll see about that." What Officer Garrett didn't know was that Marcus Webb had been wearing a body camera clipped to his jacket, standard issue, FBI, and it had been recording everything. Backup arrived 4 minutes later. 2 more officers boarded the bus, a younger cop named Daniels and a female officer, Torres. Garrett stood over Marcus like a hunter guarding his kill. "What have we got?" Daniels asked. "Refusal to comply, obstruction, disorderly conduct." Garrett rattled off charges like he was reading a menu. Torres glanced at Marcus, then at Garrett. "What did he do?" "He refused to show ID when asked, refused to vacate his seat, got aggressive." Marcus spoke up, his voice cutting through. "I didn't get aggressive. I told him I know my rights." "See?" Garrett pointed. "Talking back to officers. That's disorderly." Torres frowned but said nothing. Daniels pulled out his notepad. "Sir, can you please step off the bus with us?" Daniels said, his tone softer than Garrett's. "No," said Marcus. "I'm not breaking any laws. I paid my fare, I'm sitting quietly, there's no reason for me to leave." Garrett stepped forward. "You had your chance to do this easy." He grabbed Marcus by the arm. Marcus pulled back instinctively. "Don't touch me." "Resisting arrest," Garrett announced loudly for everyone to hear. "Hands behind your back, now." "I'm not resisting anything. You have no legal grounds to arrest me." But Garrett wasn't listening. He yanked Marcus up from the seat with force, twisting his arm behind his back. Marcus winced but didn't cry out. The briefcase clattered to the floor. "You're hurting him," someone muttered from the back. A passenger. No one moved to help. Garrett slammed the cuffs on, metal biting into Marcus's wrists. He should have listened. Marcus turned his head, looking Garrett dead in the eye. "This is gonna cost you." "Yeah? We'll see who pays what." Torres picked up the briefcase. "Should we check his ID now?" "Don't need to," Garrett said. "We'll get it at the station." They walked Marcus down the aisle. Every passenger watched. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked away. One woman shook her head but stayed silent. The driver still said nothing. As they stepped off the bus, Marcus spoke clearly, projecting his voice. "My name is Marcus Webb. I'm an FBI agent with the Civil Rights Division. Everything you just did is on camera." Garrett froze mid-step. Daniels and Torres exchanged glances. "Nice try," Garrett said, recovering quickly. "Every criminal says there's somebody important." "Check my jacket pocket, left side, badge and credentials." Garrett hesitated. Then he reached into Marcus's pocket and pulled out a black leather wallet. He flipped it open. FBI. Marcus Webb, Special Agent, Civil Rights Division. Garrett's face went pale. For a moment, no one spoke. Torres covered her mouth. Daniels took a step back. "You just assaulted a federal agent, on camera, in front of witnesses." Garrett's hands trembled, but his pride wouldn't let him back down. "You still refused a lawful order." "There was no lawful order. You racially profiled me on a public bus and fabricated charges. You told me I didn't belong there, that I should have taken another bus. Every word is recorded." Garrett shoved the wallet back at Torres. "Process him anyway. Let the courts figure it out." "Garrett, maybe we should," Daniel started. "I said process him." They loaded Marcus into the back of the patrol car. He didn't resist, didn't argue. He sat in silence, hands cuffed behind him, staring straight ahead. As the car pulled away from the curb, Marcus allowed himself one thought. This is exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen. But now that it had, he'd make sure it mattered. At the station, Garrett filled out the paperwork with shaking hands. Disorderly conduct, obstruction, resisting arrest. He knew he was in trouble, but he'd gone too far to turn back now. When Marcus was booked, the desk sergeant noticed the FBI credentials. Garrett, we've got a problem." "I know who he is." "Then why the hell is he in cuffs?" "Because he broke the law." The sergeant stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "You better hope your report is airtight." It wasn't, because body cam footage doesn't lie. Marcus spent 6 hours in a holding cell before his supervisor arrived. Special Agent in Charge Victoria Brennan walked into the precinct like a storm front, flanked by 2 attorneys from the FBI's legal team. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "Where is he?" The desk sergeant pointed toward the back. "Holding cell 3. Ma'am, we were just about to." "Save it." She turned to the attorneys. "Get him out, now." 10 minutes later, Marcus was released. No charges filed, no apology offered. Garrett had already left for the day, claiming he needed to file his report from home. Coward. Victoria met Marcus in the lobby. She looked him over. The wrinkled shirt, the red marks on his wrists from the cuffs, the exhaustion in his eyes. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." Marcus picked up his briefcase, the one Torres had finally returned. "I've been better." They walked out together. In the car, Victoria didn't ask what happened. She already knew. She'd watched the body cam footage. Twice. "It's clean," she said. "Everything's on camera. His words, his actions, the whole thing." "Good." "Marcus, this is going to blow up. You know that, right?" He nodded. "I know." "The department's going to try to bury it. They'll claim it was a misunderstanding, that Garrett was following procedure." "There was no procedure. He singled me out because I'm black, told me I didn't belong on that bus, threatened me, arrested me without cause. Victoria merged onto the highway. I'm not doubting you. I'm telling you what they'll say. Let them say it. The footage speaks for itself. She glanced at him. You want to press this? All the way. It's going to get ugly. It already is ugly. It's been ugly. I'm just the one who got it on camera this time. Victoria was silent for a moment. Then she said, we'll file a formal complaint, civil rights violation, false arrest, assault. I'll make sure it goes straight to the top. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to take time, and Garrett's not going down without a fight. Marcus leaned his head against the window. He already lost, he just doesn't know it yet. The footage hit the news 4 days later. Someone leaked it, probably someone inside the FBI who was tired of watching officers like Garrett get away with it. The video went viral within hours. Millions of views, thousands of shares, hashtags, outrage. The video showed everything. Garrett boarding the bus, singling out Marcus, the demand for ID, the threat, the words, you don't belong here. There were other buses down the street you should have picked. Then the arrest, the cuffs, Marcus's calm, controlled responses, his revelation that he was an FBI agent, Garrett's face when he saw the badge. The comment sections exploded. This is what systemic racism looks like. He told him he doesn't belong on a public bus in 2024. And they still arrested him after they knew he was FBI. Unbelievable. News stations picked it up. CNN, NBC, local outlets, national outlets. Everyone wanted a statement. The police department issued a press release. We are aware of the incident involving Officer Garrett and are conducting an internal investigation. We expect all allegations of misconduct seriously. The FBI issued their own. Special Agent Marcus Webb was unlawfully detained while off duty. We are cooperating fully with all investigations and expect accountability. Garrett was placed on administrative leave. Paid, of course. His union rep released a statement defending him. Officer Garrett was acting within his duties to ensure public safety. The suspect, agent, Victoria corrected in her own statement, Special Agent Marcus Webb, not suspect. The union rep continued, non-compliant and created a disturbance. Officer Garrett followed protocol. But the footage said otherwise, and the public wasn't buying it. Protests started outside the precinct, small at first, then larger. Signs read, Justice for Marcus Webb. Badge doesn't mean above the law. We belong everywhere. Marcus watched it all from his apartment. He didn't give interviews, didn't make statements. He let the footage do the talking. But inside he felt the weight of it. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about every person who'd been told they didn't belong. Every person who'd been profiled, harassed, arrested for existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Victoria called him that night. The DA's office just announced. They're charging him. Marcus closed his eyes. What are the charges? Civil rights violation, false arrest, assault, misconduct under the color of law. Good. Trial starts in 3 months. You ready for this? Marcus thought about the bus, the cuffs, the holding cell, Garrett's face when he said, you don't belong here. Yeah, Marcus said. I'm ready.
The trial lasted 8 days. The prosecution brought the body cam footage. They brought the bus driver who admitted he saw everything and did nothing. They brought 3 passengers who testified they heard Garrett tell Marcus he didn't belong on that bus. They brought use of force experts who explained that nothing Marcus did justified arrest. Garrett's defense tried to paint him as a dedicated officer, making a tough call in a tense situation. Officer Garrett believed he was maintaining order on a public bus, his attorney argued. He asked for identification as part of a routine safety check. The prosecutor held up a still frame from the body cam. Garrett's face, inches from Marcus's. The sneer, the contempt. Does this look routine to you? They played the audio. Garrett's voice, clear as day. You're in the wrong part of town. There are other buses down the street you should have picked. This one, not for you. The defense had no answer for that. Marcus took the stand on day 5. He wore a suit, spoke clearly, didn't exaggerate, didn't embellish, just told the truth. I was sitting quietly. I paid my fare. I wasn't bothering anyone. Officer Garrett approached me and demanded my ID. When I asked why, he told me I didn't belong there, that I should have taken a different bus. How did that make you feel? The prosecutor asked. Marcus paused. Like I was back in 1955. The courtroom went silent. Did you resist arrest? No, I pulled my arm back when he grabbed me without warning. That's reflex, not resistance. I didn't fight, didn't run. I told him who I was. He arrested me anyway. Why do you think Officer Garrett targeted you? Because I'm black, and he didn't think I belonged on a bus full of white people. Garrett's attorney objected. The judge overruled. On cross-examination, the defense tried to make Marcus seem aggressive. Isn't it true you refused to comply with Officer Garrett's lawful order? It wasn't lawful. You can't demand ID without reasonable suspicion. There was none. You raised your voice. After I was grabbed and threatened with arrest for sitting on a public bus. Yes, I spoke firmly. I didn't yell, I didn't curse, I stated my rights. You told Officer Garrett this would cost him. Isn't that a threat? Marcus looked the attorney dead in the eye. It was a fact. The defense rested 2 days later. Closing arguments were brief. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Garrett sat stone-faced as the verdict was read. His wife sobbed in the gallery. His union rep shook his head. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge was a black woman in her 60s, Judge Ernestine Hall. She'd been on the bench for 20 years. She'd seen cases like this before. Too many. She looked at Garrett over her glasses. Officer Garrett, you were given a badge and the public's trust. You swore an oath to protect and serve all citizens. Instead, you used your authority to humiliate, threaten, and unlawfully arrest a man whose only crime was sitting on a bus while black. Garrett stared at the floor. Your actions were not a mistake. They were not a misunderstanding. They were deliberate. You told Agent Webb he didn't belong. You told him to take another bus. Those words reveal what was in your heart: contempt, prejudice, a belief that you had the right to decide who belongs where. She paused. This court will not tolerate that. The law does not tolerate that. She sentenced him to 2 years in federal prison, no early release, full term. Garrett's attorney immediately filed an appeal. It was denied. The city settled with Marcus 3 months later. $500,000, a public apology from the mayor, policy reforms for the police department, including mandatory bias training and body cam requirements for all officers on duty. Marcus donated half the settlement to civil rights organizations, kept the rest for legal fees and lost time. He didn't celebrate, didn't feel victorious, just tired. Victoria met him for coffee the week after the settlement was finalized. How are you holding up? I'm all right. You don't have to be all right, you know. You went through hell. Marcus stirred his coffee. I know, but I also know I'm one of the lucky ones. Lucky? I had a badge, a body cam, a supervisor who believed me, a legal team. Most people don't. They get arrested, charged, maybe convicted, and nobody ever hears about it. Victoria nodded slowly. You're right. So, yeah, I got justice, but how many people don't? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew. Marcus looked out the window, people walking by, going about their day, buses stopping and starting. You think this changes anything? Victoria sipped her coffee. I think it changes something. Not everything, but something. Is that enough? It has to be, for now.
Garrett reported to federal prison on a cold morning in November. No cameras, no protests, just another inmate walking through the gates. His career was over. His pension, gone. His reputation, destroyed. The union distanced themselves once the appeal was denied. His wife filed for divorce 6 months into his sentence. He had plenty of time to think about that bus, about Marcus Webb, about the choice he made that cost him everything. Some inmates asked what he was in for. He told them it was a misunderstanding, that he was just doing his job. Nobody believed him. Marcus went back to work 3 months after the settlement. Same division, same cases, fighting the same fights. But something had shifted. People recognized him now. On the street, in airports, a few times on the bus, the same Route 47 he used to take. "You're that FBI agent," a woman said to him once. "The one from the video." Marcus nodded. "Thank you," she said quietly. "My son is 14, black. I worry about him every day. What you did, it mattered." He didn't know what to say to that, so he just said, "I hope he stays safe." She smiled sadly. "Me too." The policy changes the city promised rolled out slowly. Body cams became mandatory. Bias training was implemented. Complaint processes were revised. But 6 months later, another video surfaced. Different city, different officer, same story. Black man, public space, arrested for nothing. Then another, and another. Marcus watched the news with a familiar heaviness in his chest. Victoria called him after the third incident went viral. "You seeing this?" "Yeah." "Makes you wonder if anything actually changes." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "It changes for the people who fight. It changes when there's footage, when there's accountability. It's not enough, but it's not nothing." "You sound like you're trying to convince yourself." "Maybe I am." A year after the trial, Marcus was invited to speak at a civil rights conference. He almost said no. He wasn't a public speaker, wasn't an activist. He was just a guy who got arrested on a bus. But he went. The room was full. Students, attorneys, organizers, people who'd been fighting these battles long before his case made headlines. He stood at the podium and told his story. No embellishments, no drama. Just the facts. When he finished, someone in the audience raised their hand. "Do you think Officer Garrett learned anything?" Marcus considered the question. "I don't know. I hope so. But my job wasn't to teach him. It was to make sure he faced consequences. Whether he learns from them, that's on him." Another hand. Was it worth it? The trial, the publicity, all of it? Marcus thought about the holding cell, the months of legal battles, the exhaustion, the anger. Then he thought about the woman on the bus, about her 14-year-old son. "Yeah," he said, "it was worth it." 2 years later, Garrett was released. He moved to a different state, took a job in construction, kept his head down. He never publicly apologized. Marcus didn't expect him to. On the 3rd anniversary of the arrest, a journalist reached out to Marcus for an interview, wanted to do a "Where Are They Now" piece. Marcus declined. He'd said everything he needed to say. Now he just wanted to live his life, do his job, ride the bus in peace. Some mornings, he still took Route 47. Same seat, 3 rows from the back. Nobody bothered him, but he always kept his body cam on, just in case, because the fight wasn't over. It never really is. But for Marcus Webb, justice had been served. A corrupt officer was held accountable. A city was forced to pay. Policies were changed. It wasn't everything, but it was something. And sometimes something is enough to keep going. So here's the question. Do you think 2 years was enough? Do you think the settlement was fair? What would you have done if you were in Marcus's seat that day? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe. We got more stories like this. Stories that need to be told. Because the truth doesn't go away just because it's uncomfortable. And neither should we.